Okay, so we're gonna look at different types of metals and salts in water and make predictions. So the way that this is gonna go is on page 9 of your packet, we have prediction areas. We're not gonna go in order, but we're gonna start with sodium. So we looked at sodium chloride in the lab, and we can transfer that information into our packet, but I want everybody to make first a prediction about sodium. What do you predict is gonna happen if I put pure sodium in water? What will it look like? What will pure sodium even look like? So that's what you do first. Once you have made a prediction, you can take a look at what actual sodium looks like. So this is a bottle of sodium. If you notice, when you open it, it is in a liquid. The liquid is mineral oil. So it says on the thing here, it says packed in mineral oil. And what does sodium look like? So this is a piece of sodium here. Okay, there's a piece of sodium. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a razor blade and I will actually cut the sodium. So I'm gonna zoom in here. We can take a look and see what it looks like. I'll tell you how it feels in terms of how hard or soft the metal is. That's also another observation you should write down. So we're gonna take this and cut it. And it actually cuts fairly easily. It's a little bit like kind of, and you can see the inside of it is very shiny. Okay, so you can see this is shiny. I'm gonna put the other piece back into the oil. That's about as big of a piece as you want. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, and now we will put it into water. So before we put it into water, it's good to measure the temperature of the water. The temperature of the water is about 21 degrees, roughly. Okay, before you do this, make sure you have safety goggles on. We will watch what happens. I'm gonna give it a little bit more. So if you cut it and what happens is if you let it sit too long, you'll notice a coating comes over the sodium. We don't want the coating on there. So go ahead and put this in here and just make sure you have goggles on when you do this. Okay, so we can see also, do not breathe in the gas. Go ahead and measure the temperature. Even though it's still going. So the temperature goes up. Now, sometimes what can happen is you can get sparks from this. Just be careful. So that's why we always make sure you have goggles on when you're doing this. Okay, potassium chloride. Okay, so I'm gonna do that one, make a prediction. So what will potassium chloride look like? And then what will happen when we put it in water? So will it look like a metal, like what sodium did, or will it look more like a salt, which is what sodium chloride was? So go ahead and make a prediction right now, and then we're gonna do this one. The potassium chloride, let me show you what that looks like. See. So this is what potassium chloride looks like. It is more like a salt, not a metal. And I'm gonna measure the temperature after this short break. You can just take a scoop of potassium chloride. This is KCl. So once again, make a prediction. What's gonna happen? We see that it is a powder, like table salt. Put that in there, see what happens. We see that the temperature so clearly the water, that the salt is dissolving, and the temperature is doing that. Final one is potassium. What will that look like? to make a prediction. What will that look like and how will that react in water? Okay, so potassium is this. It also comes in oil, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a piece off. So be really careful with this. This is, oops. So we don't need a big piece. We're not gonna use a big piece because you'll see it's, see what it does. It is very soft, so if I cut it with a knife, you can see that it is like super soft. It just like kind of breaks apart really easily, okay? So very soft, like butter. I'll put that piece back in. And let's take a look and see what this does in water. So here we go. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, potassium, that's what happens. Temperature, does go up a little bit. It was a very small piece, so not a whole lot.